Now for the main event.
The main event. It's not the main event. It would be called the entree. So the second day Sukkot sermon is the perfectly punctuated pontification, prosaically performed periodically, meaning once a year, to ponderously and purposefully pluck the parameters and paradigms of pickled pleasantries, peculiar plates, and piquant palates. I dedicate this exploration of the heights of Jewish Deli to our beloved Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi William David Rudolph, Zichrono Livracha, and the fresser of all fressers, David Levine, Zichrono Livracha, as well as, and as in past years, a special thank you to David Bacharach as well for sponsoring today's festivities. I look forward to you offering this talk one year. So Rabbi Rudolph started this tradition because we are commanded to truly make this our season of joy, Zman Simchatenu. And unless you are the cow, Deli is truly a delight. But whether your preferred deli order is pastrami, tongue, or turkey, and I will give a nod to the vegetarians in our midst, deli culture is our lifeblood and our cholesterol clogging. It is the life of America. And Rabbi Rudolph understood that no matter how dire the world looks, we must find joy to regain a smile on our faces. So we acknowledge that today is day 733, and our hostages are not forgotten, even as they are not home. And I hope that they will be home soon to enjoy the delicacies of their choice, surrounded by the people that they love. Only an exclusive group of individuals have had the honor of delivering this sermon. It requires the right balance of scholarship, which is very little, and being an experienced nosher, which is very important. So, of course, Rabbi Rudolph, Chazan Matthew Klein, Rabbi Rami Schwartzer, Rabbi Fabian Werbin, Dave Levine himself, a fresser extraordinaire, offered this talk. Bill brought in a ringer one year, Ted Merwin, who was an author of the award-winning book, he said so it must be, award-winning book, Pastrami on Rye, An Overstuffed History of the Jewish Deli. Chazan Fratkin gave it one year, and John Simon last year. It was 2 years ago. It was amazing. The bar was set so low because the puns and the research were extraordinary. So I also want to dedicate this to the passing of someone I just found out about. Someone gave me this note that Saul Zabar passed away yesterday. 97 years old. His parents, Louis and Lillian Zabar, established the famous New York Deli in 1934. Saul was actually in medical school, and when his dad died his dad was 49 years old when he passed away. So Saul dropped out of medical school, at least to temporarily take over the deli, which now famously has been at Broadway and 80th for a long time. So we think of you, Mr. Zabar, as we honor you through this frivolity. So let me remind you of a simple truth. That civilization has risen and fallen, empires have conquered and crumbled, but the Jewish deli survives. Rome fell, but the rye bread rose. Babylon vanished, but the bagel got boiled and baked. And Egypt, well, we left Egypt, but we took the brisket recipe with us. And who do you think invented slow cooking? Well, it was Pharaoh's cooks who kept the food warm during the 10 plagues. So the deli is not just a place, it's a sanctuary of sorts, a place where the pastrami is piled higher than Mount Sinai, where the kugel is sweeter than the land of milk and honey, and where the matzah ball is so large, scientists at Goddard once considered it a potential planet. The deli itself is an institution for America and American Jews. Katz's Delicatessen in New York is now celebrating its 137th birthday. It was originally called Iceland Brothers, founded in 1888, thanks to Google, but it was renamed in 1910 by brothers Benny and Willie Katz. That's right, Katz's is older than the zipper. It is older than the crossword puzzle, and it predates William Phelps Eno. Do you know what he invented? It predates William Phelps Eno proposed the use of the stop sign in America in 1890 to cut down on buggy accidents on roads. And the first stop sign wasn't installed until 1915 in Detroit. Deli, yay for Detroit and stop signs. Great. Yeah. Deli has spanned the decades. And more recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, deli news made headlines. You may recall the Washington Post story on virtual deli sandwiches. People were ordering DIY pastrami kits by mail. And Jewish continuity depends not only on Hebrew schools and synagogue membership, but apparently also on FedExing corned beef across state lines. Even more recently, the Wall Street Journal ran a piece about a deli in Los Angeles where the pastrami sandwich costs $27. $27. For that price, the sandwich should come with a free college degree and maybe a down payment on a condo in Boca. But here's the kicker. People lined up around the block to get it. And you know why? Because he can't put a price on tradition, even though the deli certainly tries to. So order up and let's get to the meat between the slices now. For me, I enjoy focusing on an aspect of the deli experience. One year it was the history of the deli. Another, it was the extensive exploration of pickles. And one year I even recall that I spoke about the inventor or the discoverer of Lipitor. But today, it will be my most beloved condiment, mustard. The spicy, flavor-filled, luxurious enhancer of all things deli and beyond. I love a good mustard. Mustard is one of the world's most beloved and versatile condiments. Whether you're dressing up a hot dog, adding some zest to a sandwich, or using it as an ingredient in marinades and salad dressing, mustard delivers a burst of flavor that can brighten up any dish. But this ubiquitous, bright yellow condiment has a rich and ancient history that stretches back thousands of years. Right up front, I'm not including the most popular brand of French's yellow mustard on my personal most flavored list. Now, brothers Robert and George French bought a flour mill in 1883 in Fairport, New York. It burned down a year later and they relocated to Rochester, New York. I know, I was like, Detroit got something and nothing from Rochester? So Robert French died in 1893. Too soon? No. And George became the company president. And it was George who developed the creamy yellow mustard, and another brother, Francis, introduced French's mustard in 1904 at the St. Louis World's Fair. Yeah, but they didn't call it mustard. They originally called it French's cream salad brand, which sort of says why it's so blah, you know. By 1921, French's Mustard had adopted its trademark pennant and began advertising to the general public. In 1926, French's was sold to J&J Coleman of the United Kingdom, a company that produces its own mustard brand, home care products such as Lysol, Reckitt's Blue, and Brasso. Exactly, you get it. The history goes on, but needless to say, they seem to have strayed from their core purpose. Mustard and Lysol? But don't worry, it keeps it clean here. Yeah, let's keep it clean here. In 1960, French's purchased L.C. Foreman and Sons Pickle Company, getting back on the derech. It was a company based in Pittsford, New York, and Foreman produced a variety of pickle products, and it brought them back to upstate New York roots. French's headquarters has since been moved to New Jersey, but in Rochester, you can still visit number 1 Mustard Street, where their headquarters used to be. And now there's a local twist. In 2017, this is current, French's was bought by Baltimore-based McCormick and Company. A guess on the price that McCormick paid in 2017. $1 billion would be a quarter not enough. $4.2 billion. Amazing. And according to the Baltimore Business Journal, the reputable journal, quote, some Wall Street investors thought McCormick overpaid for the acquisition, as you did too. But company executives said they were willing to pay a little bit more than the competitors because of the value the acquisition adds to McCormick's portfolio. CEO Lawrence Curzius said the deal makes McCormick a one-stop shop for condiments. Like my own refrigerator. I love one-stop shopping for condiments. That is a taste goal I can support. Now that I've actually spiced today's talk with some actual facts, why the focus on mustard? I had this strange feeling that you had asked me that question before, but it must have been a moment of déjà vu. Thank you, Karen. So unlike the previous mention of the popular yellow mustard, which I say is my least favorite mustard of all the varieties, mustards have grains and flavor and complex tastes which are heavenly. No, actually heavenly. Did you know that the Christian Bible says so? The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke all tell the parable of the mustard seed. And you may expect that I consulted with my friends and neighbors at St. Mark Presbyterian or Bethesda United Methodist Church or at St. John's Episcopal, and you would be totally wrong. No Christian religious authority was consulted. And on the other hand, Reverend Google was. So the Gospel of Mark, it's Mark chapter 4, verse 30 to 32, if you care to look it up after, says, quote, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed, which when it is sown in the earth, though it is less than all the seeds that are on earth, yet when it is sown, grows up and becomes greater than all of the herbs and puts out great branches so that the birds of the sky can lodge under its shadow. Right? Mustard is a heaven sent. So even Jesus was a fan of mustard. It is clearly a heavenly taste. So in the 4th century, the Romans introduced mustard to Gaul, modern-day France, where Dijon-style mustard was born. French monasteries helped keep mustard-making traditions alive through the Middle Ages by growing mustard plants. And then French settlers brought mustard to North America in the 16th century. In the 18th century, mustard began to be produced in large scale. The first actual commercial mustard mill was established in Dijon in 1777. These are all facts that will get you nowhere. And as you know, I grew up outside San Francisco, which is not far from Napa Valley, the premier wine region of America. So how many people have visited Napa? Oh, great. We have a big drinking crowd here. So a lot. So did you notice that in the cute shops of Napa or Calistoga or Healdsburg, there is an extraordinary amount of mustard? There is. It's true. We associate mustard with these types of high-end gourmet restaurants, but why? I know the Balducci's and Wagshalls and Gemelli's are the same. Well, some more truth. Mustard plants are a common cover crop at wineries to inject nutrients into the soil. It grows quickly, and they would then till it back into the soil. We actually have the parents of a vintner here. So there was a lot of waste, though. Right? So someone over the centuries realized that they could take the mustard plant and seed and use them for a different product and monetize it. And mustards, like Dijon mustard, were created mixing the complex flavors of wine, making the new types of mustard. So French's classic yellow mustard is like $3 Chuck wine. While the world is filled with excellent vintners of mustard ready to be explored and enjoyed. So a question to you. Why did the mustard start walking slower? Because his friend couldn't catch up. Right. So where does this leave us? With full bellies and full hearts, the Jewish deli is more than food. It is memory. It is survival. It is joy. When the prophet Isaiah spoke of the future banquet for all people, I like to think that he meant the all-you-can-eat pickle station. And when the psalmist said, "My cup runneth over," clearly he was talking about chicken soup. So let us honor the deli, let us cherish it, and most importantly, let us keep eating at it, because to lose the deli would be losing a piece of ourselves. So my blessing for you is, may your bagels always be fresh, may your pastrami always be lean, and may your mustard always be grainy. Chag Sameach.